When you walk up to the vehicle and you have the key with you, it's going to sense the key at a certain point, and you kind of have to be really close. And there's a little tiny bit of a light that illuminates inside this handle, front and back. I don't know if you can even tell that it's illuminated. It's very subtle, but it does illuminate those handles. But there's no approach light, there's no puddle lights, anything like that to help you with navigating the ground or anything like that. Interior lights don't turn on. But let's go ahead and turn on the unlock the door. So we unlock the door. We have some exterior lights on in the front and rears, which helps out a lot. But still, there's no approach light or anything like that. When the vehicle's running, you do have the ability to go completely dark on the outside. DRL off position on the headlight switch. And that way, all lights are off. When we turn the parking lights on, there is these pretty bright white LEDs that are now illuminated. And kind of blowing out the camera a little bit. Let me show you. They're very sharp and bright. And then there's an amber side marker here as well, here in the front. There's also a red side marker here in the back, and the taillights are on. And the taillights are red in color. They look a little bit orangey on the camera, but they are red. And they're really nice. There's like there's 3 separate lights there. Kind of swoop down and get sharper towards the inner portion, which is really cool. And then the tag lights are bright enough to shine on the ground to kind of help out and serve as an approach light. Turn signal is amber here on the front. It's an LED, and it's like a really sharp, bright LED strip here. And it's pretty cool. You're probably not gonna accidentally leave your turn signal on, because you're gonna see this bright flashing light constantly reflecting on signs and all that stuff. So it's nice and bright. Everybody else can see it. You can see it. Really good. There's also an amber turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. It's visible from the front, the side, and the back. And it's pretty bright. Some vehicles have them kind of dim. This one's pretty bright. And then the turn signal is amber. It's on the corner here. Very bright LED as well. And it's amber, so it separates itself from the red tail lights. And it's on that corner right there, so it's easily seen in that high position. The headlights are an auto leveling system, and when you first start up the vehicle, it actually goes through the range of motion, which is pretty cool. But the headlights are basically 3 projectors, 3 separate distinct projectors on each side. And they're auto leveling, but they're not like moving around or anything. But they do a really good job of auto leveling. There's also a cornering light that's right in here that illuminates when you turn the steering wheel, which is pretty cool. We'll see that while we're driving down the road. And we're gonna see all this stuff going down the road, high, low beams and everything. All right, so the cutoff, you can go back a little bit further. So the cutoff on the low beams is pretty low. It's about 2.5 feet off the ground. So above that is less bright, so you're not blinding other drivers. Now let's switch to high beams. And it's kind of bright over here, but we'll see it going down the road. So the high beams are basically the same 3 projectors, just refocused to a higher position to where it's like projecting down the road further and give you a better view. So it basically looks the same, except for we don't have a cutoff like we had before. It's just bright all the way around. The further you go out, it's actually, bright as well. It has a little bit of a, it's aiming, but it's not like a cutoff like at the low beams. The trunk area has a single light right here, an LED, not very bright. And you can see right here in the center, but here on the sides, very, very dark, very dark. There's the first aid kit over there. Can't even see it. I actually have the light, or the brightness on the camera really bright right now, and it's still, it's not all that great, especially with the black interior here. So yeah, I think that the trunk area could be a lot better. It does have a backlit button for lowering the trunk, so that's good. The inside of the back door It has a puddle light, which is just for when you exit the vehicle, you can see what's on the ground before you step there, which is good. The inside of the door, the pockets are dark, completely dark. There is a little accent light here, like in the front door, and then there's a little finder light for the power window switch. The back seats are illuminated by the single dome light right here, and it does a decent job of illuminating the seat areas, but the floorboard area is not all that great. There's also some charge ports on the back of the console there that are dark as well. So the front door has a puddle light as well that illuminates the ground when you open the door. And then the compartments are completely dark here. There's little finder lights for the power windows, and then these are all backlit, as well as the seating positions there, the presets for your seats, backlit. And then there's the little tiny subtle accent light there as well. No lights in the threshold area. There is floorboard illumination, and there's a single light right here, and it does just a halfway decent job of illuminating the inside. So you can see I have the actual the camera brightness turned up quite a bit, and it's still not all that bright. With the door open, I had the interior lights on, so you can see about what they look like here. Not super bright, but it does give you the ability to see in here decently. Let me shut the door. We're left with the backlit buttons here. Now the headlight stock is dark, so let me open up the door. You can see all the selections there for the headlights are completely dark, but you typically leave it on automatic anyway, but I just want to point that out. Same thing with the windshield wipers, just there's no backlit button. There's no backlit lights or anything on it. So you can't really see what you're doing. So there on the door, you see the backlit lights. The floorboard does have some illumination here, which is nice. It's bright enough to see, even with the black carpeting. Steering wheel is nicely backlit buttons. Now the gauges are here. They look nice. I'm going to adjust the brightness. So that's the maximum brightness. Let's lower it back down. That's the minimum brightness. You can see what the range is there. It also adjusts the floorboard illumination and other things as well. It's not just the gauges. There's the map. There's a analog type clock. Backlit buttons here. Now we're starting to get into some areas in which it's not lit at all, and you can't even see what's not lit. So let's go ahead and turn on the interior light here. And there's a cup holder here, a storage compartment. All that is just completely dark. There's also an optical drive here as well. Has a little bit of light there, but you will need to see around it a little bit in order to use it, so you don't accidentally scratch your disc or anything. There's also USB and auxiliary inputs here that have some lights. When I turn off the lights, you can see there's little finder lights right there. You can see at night. Yeah, there you go. You can see them. All right, and all these have backlit lights on them. This right here, this compartment is dark. So turn the lights out, we can't see anything. So you can see there's this light that's right here on my hand, and it kind of illuminates this area, which does help out with this compartment and stuff. But that light, if we follow it up, it's actually coming from underneath the rear view mirror right here. So we have this just kind of a soft light that helps out with this area right in here. Just kind of get your bearings and kind of see a little bit when it's super dark. This is excellent. Having that little tiny bit of light does help out a lot. Under the side, the rear view mirror, there's some buttons here for the home link door controls there, and also the auto dim rear view mirror. So that's a nice little touch, having that light coming down. Some vehicles have it up here in the center area, but this one has it on the rear view mirror, which is lower, so it works a little bit better, I think. The center compartment has some lights here. It does have a light here in this compartment. Not hugely helpful, but it is better than nothing, because you notice it doesn't really illuminate the whole compartment. It's shining right here, so it kind of like casts huge shadow there. Plus you have this compartment here in the way. This thing right here that you can't even see, that's dark. Once again, let's turn the interior lights on so you can see this is where you put your cell phone. And once again, we have another dark area. So this light just kind of shines in this weird spot, and it doesn't really help out a huge amount. You are going to have to either use a flashlight or interior lights constantly, as we're doing in this video, to even see anything. Glove compartment has like a light in it, but as you see, when you put stuff in here, it kind of casts a shadow, so it's not super functional, but it does have a light in there. Then you have that little pinstripe light that's here on the door and extends here on the dash as well. I don't know if you can see that. Just a very subtle accent light, very, very subtle. Here on this side as well, right in here. Let's turn the camera system on. Let's put it in reverse so we can see around the vehicle. Does a decent job of illuminating everything, kind of brighten it up and everything. Plus the reverse lights help out a lot. All right, so up here, there's these lights, you basically just tap them. So it's not a big deal that they're not illuminated, because as soon as you put your hand up here, then you can turn it on or off just by tapping it. Same thing with this big one here in the middle. So this is just a general illumination, but then if you want more direct illumination, so like say if you're trying to read something, this is kind of what these are for reading there and there. And then the backlit buttons are also up here. The visors have mirrors and lights, pretty bright lights actually. So yeah, the compartment areas could be a lot better. The cup holders could be illuminated. There's a lot of areas in which it would help out if they just add a little eensy-weensy tiny bit of illumination here and there. You know, in the door, in the compartments. So it's kind of like half and half, you know, half good, half bad in this vehicle as far as the interior illumination. So yeah, I mean, it's generally okay. It's not like huge failures or anything, but there's a little, you know, it could be better anyway, which like most vehicles, that's just the way it is. Under the settings here on the screen, here's the different light settings as far as the headlights, daytime running lights, interior lights, exterior lights. So the cornering light helps out a lot. So as I turn the steering wheel, I hope you can see it right over here. It illuminates right where I'm turning into. So whether it be turning left or right, that cornering light helps out. And I prefer cornering lights over, say, active bending left and right headlights that move around. I like auto leveling's fine. It's just the movement left and right is a little distracting sometimes, and also it's not as helpful. Say, cornering light actually aims in that really sharp angle so you can actually see better. So you'll notice there's a cutoff on the low beams. So it's all bright over here now, but as we get out on the road, you'll see a clear cutoff. And then there's a dip right in this one spot where the oncoming lane is, that is intending to, you know, just not be as bright on oncoming traffic eyes. So yeah, as you see these cars go by, notice the cutoff is right below their windows. I don't know if you can tell that. And so that way you have good visibility on the road, but as far as like, you know, aiming up in their face or whatever, it's not going to do that. Now the auto leveling, as you like floor it, it's kind of hard to tell right now, but as I accelerate, the actual headlights will lower a little bit more than what they need to, but that's just like as a precaution. So as I accelerate, I don't know if you can notice that dip in that line, and then it comes back up. So I floor it, they lower, and then I let go, it comes back up. So that's not really leveling, it's just adjusting for the, you know, the position of the vehicle. Because as you see, we're going up and down bumps and stuff, and that's not keeping that line level. So it's, you know, not technically auto leveling, but that's what they call it. So I have the automatic high beams on, and so far it hasn't had a problem with the high beams on the automatic high beams on this vehicle. It does a decent job. Some vehicles, flash other cars and stuff, and I mean, it's almost none of them are perfect, but this one seems to be fine in most conditions. All right, so this area is a little bit darker if there's not any cars anyway. And hopefully we'll be able to see. Yeah, okay, so we can see really good. Once again, Lexus does a good job. Most Lexus vehicles seem to do a really good job. So with the height, this vehicle isn't high off the ground, so it's doing a good job of not being patchy on the road, and it has a good distance. It illuminates the side of the road good. So yeah, we're having 3 lights on each side, overlapping enough to where it's not patchy. We do have quite a bit. Oh yeah, look at that. The high beams are just fantastic. Really liking that. The low beams, they're good. They're good. That notch that's supposed to be that dark area on oncoming traffic, it's just a little bit too low, especially considering it has the auto leveling system. So it leaves this dark spot sometimes in the middle of the road, but it's not really a big deal. I just want to point that out, and you might be able to see it. I'm not sure on camera, but yeah, I mean, you can see just fine. I mean, looking down the road right now, it's not an issue right this second. So yeah, the actual light going down the road is good, even in low and high beams. Evenly lit, it's not like you don't see like a patchwork of different lights trying to illuminate the area. So the brightness is good. The coverage is good. And yeah, I mean, other than that little black spot, which is probably a good idea for safety anyway, it just seems a little low. Other than that, it's good. And the automatic high beams so far are working good. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I think there's room for improvement on a lot of things on the vehicle, but as far as the actual headlights and really taillights are pretty good too. Yeah, I think there's a lot of positives on this vehicle as far as the lighting system. Having an approach light, some kind of exterior light when you unlock the vehicle and you're walking towards it would help. Some illumination in some of the compartments would help out. But that's not much negative to say. Interior lights are a little dim. I mean, really. Especially with dark interior, they're just not very impressive. It's not really the impressive part. It's that they are not as functional as they could be, and that's the whole point of a lot of illumination. It's primarily a functional issue if it doesn't have adequate lighting, because at nighttime, unless you're just like have street lights everywhere or whatever. If you're already in an illuminated environment, if you're in a dark environment and you need light, it's really, and you don't have a flashlight or something, some of these vehicles are they're just going to cause a problem, especially in an emergency. If you need to get something quickly out of a vehicle and you cannot see and it's dark, and you're on the side of the road somewhere and you can't see properly, you're trying to look into a compartment and you got to get something out. Let's say you have a tourniquet in there. Let's say you have a knife that you need to get to cut something and it's an emergency, and you can't see, that's a huge problem. It's like covering up an exit on a, you know, fire exit or something, on a, you cover it, blocking it with something, you know. But you know, it's just one of those things that just impedes your ability to do what you need to do. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.